All right, good morning and welcome to Thursday morning, December the 16th today. And we're going to take one more shot at God or Mammon. We heard from Eberhard Arnold yesterday. My apologies for some of these that take a little bit long, but the thoughts are good and I don't want to leave them out. No one can serve two masters, Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. We hear from David Bentley Hart today. He is an Eastern Orthodox Bible translator and cultural commentator, which is a good combination. If you're going to comment on the culture, do it from the perspective of the scriptures and not from any other perspective. It is undeniably true that there are texts that condemn an idolatrous obsession with wealth and that might be taken as saying nothing more than that. At least 1 Timothy 6:17 through 19 is often cited as an example of this, though it probably should not be. Perhaps to avoid trying to serve both God and Mammon, one need only have the right attitude toward riches. But if this were all the New Testament had to say on the matter, then one would expect those texts to be balanced out by others affirming the essential benignity of riches honestly procured and well used. Yet this is precisely what we do not find. Instead, they are balanced out by still more uncompromising combinations of wealth in and of itself. Certainly, Christ condemned not only an unhealthy preoccupation with riches, but the getting and keeping of riches as such. Remember the man who built himself some extra barns to keep all his stuff. The most obvious citation from all three synoptic gospels would be the story of the rich young ruler who could not bring himself to part with his fortune for the sake of the kingdom, and of Christ's astonishing remark about camels passing through needles' eyes more easily than rich men through the kingdom's gate. As for the question the disciples then put to Christ, it should probably be translated not as who then can be saved or can anyone be saved, but rather, then can any of them, the rich, can any of them be saved? To which a sobering reply is that it is humanly impossible, but that by divine power, even a rich man might be spared. But one can look everywhere in the Gospels for confirmation of the message. Christ clearly means what he says when quoting the prophet, he has been anointed by God's Spirit to preach good tidings to the poor, Luke 4:18. To the prosperous, the tidings he bears are decidedly grim. Woe to you who are rich, for you are receiving your comfort in full. Woe to you who are full fed, for you shall hunger. Woe to you who are now laughing, for you shall mourn and weep. Luke 6:24 and 25. Again, perhaps many of the practices Christ condemns in the rulers of his time are merely misuses of power and property. But that does not begin to exhaust the rhetorical force of his teachings as a whole. He not only demands that we give freely to all who ask from us, Matthew 5:42, and to do so with such prodigality that one hand is ignorant of the other's largesse, Matthew 6:3. He explicitly forbids storing up earthly wealth, not merely storing it up too obsessively, and allows instead only the hoarding of the treasures of heaven, Matthew 6:19 and 20. It is truly amazing how rarely Christians seem to notice that these counsels are stated quite decidedly as commands. After all, as Mary says, part of the saving promise of the gospel is that the Lord, quote, has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away starving. And that's from Mary's Magnificat, as we call it, in Luke 1, verse 53. It's hard words, hard challenge from the Lord about where are our hearts? Where is the treasure that we crave and save? I jotted this down some time ago. I read it. It's by Mary Frances Berry. Capitalism, by definition, requires inequality. Now think about that. Capitalism, by definition, requires inequality. The question is, who will be at the bottom? As we talk about this, these yesterday and today, I'm thinking of the early church, the end of Acts 2 and in Acts 4, and how they handled possessions, how they viewed them. This is an upside down kingdom that we live in as Christians. We need to learn how it operates. We need to learn its guidelines, its laws, its perspectives. And we will find out that so much of what we have held on to as the way things ought to be from our worldly perspective, the kingdom of God's ways don't agree. There's much to learn. Blessings to you today.